Are you tired of struggling with weight loss? You may have even considered over-the-counter medication that promises to help. In this video, I'll share how weight loss medications work in your body, along with some natural alternatives you might want to know about. There are some important things to watch out for if you're thinking about trying them. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? On this channel, I'm here to help you reverse the effects of chronic stress so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom-free, so that you can put an end to common midlife symptoms like chronic fatigue, insomnia, mood swings, issues with gut health, and even weight gain. Let's start by talking about how weight loss medication actually works in the body. First of all, it is supposed to help to diminish hunger. So hunger is actually a hormone signal, and it's triggered by essentially our body burning off all the sugar, the glucose, the glycogen stores, and switching to fat burning. This natural hormone signal is actually a good sign, and if we can learn to manage it and not let it kind of take us out and take control, then just working to diminish the hunger signal, this hunger hormone, could actually be a good thing. Messing with your hormones can really backfire on you. The other thing that a lot of these medications are trying to do is to disrupt fat absorption. But actually, it's your fat that your brain runs off and is the optimal fuel, honestly, for your whole body. So what you really want is to improve your diet, eat better fats, and we're trying to actually train our body to run on fat for fuel. So if we're turning to a medication that's interrupting this process, that doesn't seem to make sense, does it? That sounds like it could create more problems. The other thing, too, that some of these medications are promising to do is to elevate metabolism. And so our metabolism is closely tied with our neurotransmitters. All of these signals, essentially, that are running our body are really delicate and interconnected. And so while boosting metabolism essentially artificially might sound really great, you definitely need to be careful here, because if that neurotransmitter system essentially gets disrupted in a way that creates some other imbalance, then you might improve your metabolism and have other things that are happening that now you may be considering turning to medication to offset the symptoms from this medication that you were hoping would help you to lose some weight. There are some natural alternatives, but let's start by really looking at the counter medication that is honestly the only FDA approved medication. So this weight loss medication is phentermine, and it's marketed as Lomira, Adipex, Orlistat, Xenical, or Ali. There are other over-the-counter products that are considered supplements, but they're not regulated by the FDA and don't have proper studies to confirm that they're safe or even effective. So phentermine may help you lose weight, but the weight loss is likely to be just modest. For example, you may just see a few pounds of improvement that would not normally be seen by just diet and exercise alone. There have been some studies with more than 40% of people taking Ali as an example, while also following a calorie-restricted diet, honestly not what I would recommend either, and increasing physical activity might be a good thing if these people were completely sedentary, but if the people had already been exercising and you're increasing the exercise dramatically, then that also might be sabotaging their efforts. But the clinically meaningful weight loss is generally defined as 5% or more of body weight. And so that means that there's enough weight loss to begin lowering some of the other risks of disease, like heart disease or diabetes or other diseases. These people who ate a calorie restricted diet and exercised more regularly and also took Ali lost an average of 5.7 pounds more in 1 year than people who only dieted and exercised. So honestly, 5 to 6 pounds in a whole year, I just don't believe that the risks associated with taking this medication and the potential additional side effects make sense. There are way more effective and healthier approaches that are actually going to produce better results. Some people might also be turning to apple cider vinegar. This is another one of those honestly kind of myths. This assumes that you are too alkaline. And so maintaining an appropriate pH balance is so important. And if you're turning to either alkaline things that are designed to reduce acidity or turning to something like this, ACV, to increase acidity, either way, you're disrupting your pH balance, and that can really be creating a problem. The other thing that might actually help is things to improve your digestion. So that can start with enzymes can be helpful. Initially, while you're adjusting your diet, we tend to need enzymes because we're consuming things that our body is not digesting well. So there are 5 things that I refer to as the fierce 5 that I typically see most of the people that I work with have a problem with, and that is dairy, yeast, gluten, sugar, and alcohol. If you eliminate those 5 things, you'll find that you probably don't need enzymes. You may benefit from using probiotics or prebiotics initially if you've got a disruption in your digestive system, because probiotics and prebiotics can help reestablish a healthy digestive tract, but you don't want to continue using these things long term, because when you use them long term, then you can create a dysregulation in the opposite direction. Now that we know how weight loss medications work, let's talk about some natural options that may be preferable. There are some great alternatives out there that can help you on your journey without needing a prescription medication that often contributes to a toxic buildup. And this is just an example of one of the countless ways stress creates symptoms and other health issues, especially during midlife. I created a video that shows you how to eliminate these symptoms naturally. So I'll make sure to link to it below this video, but make sure you hit subscribe too, because I share a lot of tips when it comes to dealing with stress that's become toxic. Relieving the nasty symptoms stress creates makes cruising through midlife a breeze. Now let's talk about the benefits of supplementing with some sort of weight loss medication or supplement. So I will concede that sometimes using some sort of medication or supplement can help to jumpstart the process. I have someone that I know that actually went on prescription weight loss medication after her doctor insisted that she needed to lose a significant amount of weight. And I will say that this person definitely needs to improve her diet and change some other lifestyle habits. But it was interesting as she shared her experience. She said she was less hungry. She was being more selective about what she ate because she wasn't eating as much. And so as she ate better and less, the benefits accumulated. And not just the benefits of eating less, but also the benefits of consuming less things that were coming in with additional toxicity. And then the fascinating thing was that she got to the point, not because of losing too much weight, but because of some other side effects that she was experiencing. She got to the point where she needed to wean herself off the medication, and she found that some of these habits that she had developed were actually sticking. And so that's the way it's supposed to work. What it's supposed to do is to help you support your efforts to develop some new habits and improved lifestyle, and then you're supposed to be able to go off the medication. And so that's really important to understand as you embark on any sort of lifestyle improvement, that if you're turning to things that are kind of helping to make it easier initially, you have to be thinking, am I going to be able to sustain this long term? How am I going to make sure that these improved habits stick? So you want to definitely avoid any other medications. And obviously, if you're on any prescription medications, those medications have to take priority and precedence. But any medications that you are taking should be managed all together, as a unit, essentially. So if you've been taking diabetes medication, if you're insulin dependent, that needs to be managed in conjunction with any of these other medications that you're considering. Even any medication for heart disease, to control blood pressure or reduce cholesterol, all of those medications are typically prescribed to offset poor lifestyle choices. And so as you improve your lifestyle and your habits and reduce the toxicity, all the medication is going to need to be adjusted. Some cautions to keep in mind if you're considering supplementing with weight loss is medication side effects. I mentioned this a moment ago, but those are not insignificant. Nausea is well documented as a serious side effect. There's also the risk of constipation or diarrhea, both of which can create big problems as the effects accumulate, and you may feel like you need to turn to some medication to deal with the constipation or diarrhea or even nausea, and that's just compounding the problem. The medication might also allow you to fool yourself that you're making lifestyle changes and that you're making sustainable progress when you're not really, because you're totally relying on the medication to sustain the improvement. And so that's something that will really trip you up long term, because no medication should be relied on long term, and it is creating internal disruption and internal damage, including metabolism damage. And so again, in the short term, 3 months, 6 months, you may be able to get away with it, and it actually might support your efforts. But in the long term, you want to make sure that any medication or even supplement you're turning to is really used mindfully, and you have a plan for what's going to happen when you discontinue that. And if your best efforts to live a healthy lifestyle and do all the things you've been led to think are supposed to work aren't getting the job done, you may even be feeling like you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. In my next video, I'll show you how to manage the toxic stress that's sabotaging your efforts. You can eliminate the symptoms that seem to be piling up in midlife naturally without medication, crazy diets, intense exercise, or any other unsustainable lifestyle hack.